We have a lot of weather to talk about in this morning's video, and the first thing we're going to dive into is this significant winter storm risk across the eastern U.S. as we make our way over the next several days or so. We'll go over all the new model runs, we'll show you all these fancy snowfall graphics, and then we'll dive into the energy associated with this setup. After that, I want to move forward and just finish off February, get into early portions of March, and just talk about the pattern that I am seeing. I want to give you my take on some things. I'm seeing some changes, and we'll speak on those changes when we get to that portion of the video. After that, we'll round it off with today's weather. There's a lot going on today into tomorrow, and I will put a section about the severe weather threats for tomorrow in the video also. So timestamps will be up throughout the entire video. Take advantage of them, utilize them. They're there to help you out. My name is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Very important part to this channel. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So let's go over the new Euro first. This is actually the one from overnight. The morning Euro is starting to run right now, but we'll show you what we got. We're going to start off with Friday morning. So here over the next couple days or so, there will be a system ongoing across the upper Midwest. There'll be some snow on the colder side. It'll be kind of a rainy snow mix on the warmer side, but there will be a system here. Now, there's energy out ahead of this system also. And this moisture Friday morning, this will be just mainly rain across the southeast and even the mid-Atlantic and the Ohio Valley. But some of this moisture will be encountering some cold air, and this could bring some snow across New England, the Northeast. So we got to watch this because this could deliver several inches of just winter weather. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into that as we move forward. So as we're getting done with that system, we're getting into Saturday morning, the 21st. Timestamp up here if you lose me. Timestamp over here. We got some moisture bubbling up down here. If you look really closely, it's even showing a touch of snow in the higher elevations of North Carolina and Tennessee. But this first push of moisture kind of stays suppressed, stays to the south, keeps you guys in the southeast pretty rainy for most of the weekend. And then we get some energy digging down. We get into Sunday morning, and if you look really closely, once again, you can see some splotches of blue in this green. Maybe a rain-snow mix across North Carolina Sunday morning. We'll see. But this is all snow up here in the northern sections of the country. So we start to move into a Sunday evening. We got a low pressure developing off the East Coast. It's doing it a little bit late, but there's still enough moisture being thrown back over land to create some type of system over land. All right, so we got this rain-snow mix across the Mid-Atlantic. This is all snow, but not very heavy snow. And then the system really gets going, but it gets going well off the East coastline. In fact, there's enough cold air wrapping down because energy's digging down. It's just not able to really connect and become a larger piece of energy, therefore develop a low pressure closer to land. But this is snow, light to moderate snow, getting all the way down into Virginia, eastern areas of Tennessee, even showing a little bit of snow along the North Carolina, South Carolina border. It's interesting, the trends that we've seen with this. Colder, but not necessarily a bigger storm system, but we could turn around and go one way or the other with these trends too. You guys know that. But Monday, it actually ends it as some moderate snow in eastern North Carolina. Monday afternoon, the 23rd. But the system altogether really isn't a big one, right? So let's look at the latest GFS. All right. So once again, Friday morning. And the reason I'm starting off a couple days ahead of the main time frame is because we got a system out ahead of the main time frame, which is this one right here. There's that low pressure spinning over the Great Lakes region. Here's that moisture encountering some cold air across New England. Like I said, this could be some heavy wet snow for you folks in New York State, Mass, surrounding states, Vermont, New Hampshire. And I mean, this is Friday night and a Saturday morning. This is some moderate to heavy snow. I mean, it could deliver several inches of wet snow. And then here comes that moisture. Kind of first round, stay suppressed down to the southeast, a rainy Saturday. And then here comes the energy digging in. And this is Sunday morning. You can see that 540 line kind of buckling to the south. Some snow, a little bit in the mountains of the southern Alps here. And then the system gets going, cranks up closer to the east coastline. Therefore, we get a snowstorm across the mid-Atlantic. In fact, it's snowing as far south as northeast North Carolina. This is a band of heavy snow across the mid-Atlantic. A little bit of snow up here in southern New England. And we keep going here, and this thing begins to wrap up 978 millibar low here. I mean, if this was closer, it could be a blizzard. The blizzard potential is there with this. It just depends on how close and how strong this low pressure is to land, the East Coast. But it's snowing like crazy along the Jersey Shore, Delaware, the coastal areas of Maryland. And this is a big system. It's just the bulk of it is offshore. And this is Monday morning, and then it's pulling away, and it's just a close miss, and it ends up becoming a big system for Atlantic Canada. But you guys in Atlantic Canada need to hold me accountable. I'm going to cover you guys with this system because this has big potential for you guys. Now, what about the Canadian? All right, same thing. Friday morning, we got a system up here in the Great Lakes region, the upper Midwest. We'll see what that does. I don't think it'll be a high impact system. Right now, I don't, at least. But there's that moderate snow across New England. And then we move past that. And then here comes this soaker across the southeast. And then that moves away. A little bit of a different evolution off that system on the Canadian, but we'll look past it for now. And then here comes the Canadian with the main show. And that's a little bit offshore. Man, that's pretty far south, though. It's very interesting. In fact, trying to switch rain to snow near the Outer Banks. If you look at this splotch of blue here embedded in the screen. And we got snow trying to kind of circle all the way down to the southern Alps here. Some snow across New England. And it just wraps up too late. It's not a big system. A lot of just snow showers flying around. A lot of energy embedded in this trough digging down. But there's no connection close enough to land. And then it wraps up, tries to become a bigger system for Atlantic Canada. Now, what about some of these AI model runs? And we do have the O6Z. I hadn't even looked at this one yet. Remember, this just shows precipitation. I'll have to tell you if it's snow or not. You have to take my word for it. But Saturday morning, here's that first system. It's much stronger on the AI model. This is the Euro AI from this morning, and it has a soaker Sunday morning across the southeast. This will be 2 Sunday mornings in a row for a soaker if this is the way it plays out. And there's just a connection here that's a little bit different. And in fact, on the latest O6Z AI, it goes back to being a bigger system, it looks like. But it's just a different evolution here. It looks like it almost attaches to the first system Saturday and the Sunday and just wraps this up faster. In fact, let's look at temperatures. This is Sunday midday. What does the temperatures look like with this? Yeah, that could be heavy, wet snow across Virginia. Low 30s, definitely not cold enough down to the Carolinas. And then you continue to move forward here. And let's look. This is Sunday night and a Monday morning. Where's the precipitation with this? Yeah, that would be a snowstorm across the mid-Atlantic coastal regions. Okay? And then you move forward, and it actually wraps up and kind of heads up the East Coastline. And that's a 971 millibar low. That's a strong low pressure. This thing has high end potential. And you look at the temperatures here, and that's heavy, wet snow for a good chunk of southern New England. More of a marginal event, but that's getting the job done. In fact, you look at how much snow falls on this run. Let's see it. Yeah, it's a pretty big run. Okay, several inches of snow across the mid-Atlantic. So now what about the GFS AI model run? And here it comes. Here's the first system. And then it does something different than the Euro AI. GFS AI, low pressure developing off the East Coast here. This is Sunday. It delivers a little bit of moisture for the mid-Atlantic and areas of the southern northeast region. And that would be snow Sunday night across the mid-Atlantic, up into PA, up into New Jersey. But not a huge event, but it almost wraps up and clips Southeast Mass. I'm telling you, we will show you some love in Atlantic Canada. Just hang with me. I just want to get a couple model runs going together. And what's interesting is it tries to almost develop some sort of other low pressure here. But anyways, let's show you some of these. And we're really just going to look at the ensemble guidance here. Okay, this is the Euro ensemble. Okay, and let's do something real quick. I want to show you what is the latest O6Z run show. And we're like 48 hours short here. So it has not ran yet. So let's go back to this and let's just keep going. Let's just stay focused. Euro ensemble from overnight. This is in 2-day periods, okay? You're going to see a snowfall footprint appear on your screen, then disappears because it's in 48-hour increments. And remember, this blends together. 51 members creates a mean or an average for us. It's not an exact forecast, okay? So here's something we're watching over the next 48 hours or so, okay? And this is getting into Saturday morning. I really think this is a combination between two different systems. One that is going to move in today, into tonight, and then one that's going to move in kind of Friday or Thursday night into Friday into Saturday morning. Okay, and then the main system is right here. You see how this begins to fill in across the Mid-Atlantic, areas of the Ohio Valley, areas of the Northeast. That is our system of interest. Okay, this kind of area goes away, and then this area appears right here. Not a substantial signal or anything like that, but there is a signal right here for snow. A 2, 3, maybe as much as a 4-inch snowfall means somewhere in there. Okay, but it is really like in this area here. Now, if I get a kind of a closer look at this, okay, you'll notice that there is a bit of a signal as far south as northern North Carolina. Okay, but it likes this area. Most model guidance likes this area, and it does extend a little bit into southern New England. So there is a solid signal here for something still. You can't overly look at the operational runs, right? But, you know, what we look for them at this stage is, are they all kind of meeting in kind of a similar ground here, kind of a similar area? And they are for the most part. But that is a solid signal. Now, if you look at the GFS here, the GFS ensemble, let's get it together. And this is only going to be in 24-hour periods because they don't have a 2-day period on the GFS ensemble. This is the morning run. Here's the first couple of systems that we watch out ahead of the main show. And then here comes the main time frame we're watching here. And it's a lot more splotchy, okay, but it's the same general area. Right into here. Same area here in the Mid-Atlantic. Gets a little bit into North Carolina, gets a little bit up into the Northeast, but the Mid-Atlantic kind of the main area here, and then it heads on off. So what's up with the energy with this? Well, if we look at the Euro run, and I don't know what the 06Z run shows, there's no point in getting hyper-focused on one specific model run anyways. But what we're looking at here is there's a lot of different areas of energy out here with this setup. Okay, I'm going to try drawing here a little bit, make sure this is going to work. And it is. Let's just make it bigger. So we got all this energy kind of right into here. I mean, you got this energy, you got this Rockies energy, and all this stuff right here is going to try to kind of dive into this region and kind of wrap up. Okay, this is embedded in this trough. So you're going to see, and this is just the operational run of the Euro. So you're going to see how the Rockies energy, the stuff that pops off the Rocky Mountains, kind of gets out ahead of your main energy up here. But they try to connect here. It's definitely strung out, meaning that this is just a huge elongated piece of energy here. And they don't fully wrap up. They really nosedive to the south. But if you notice right here, this thing is really positively tilted. It's trying to dig, okay, but it's digging way too late. And it finally wraps up, but it does it well off the East Coast. Now on the GFS, which gets the job done a little bit more as far as snow across the eastern U.S., same thing. You know, you look at the energy, same time frame, Saturday, and there's a lot of players in the field. All this kind of wraps up a little bit better. And you can see it's more of kind of like a ball of energy here. Okay, this thing is just kind of consolidating. All the pieces are sort of coming together better. There's a lot of other things that you talk about with this too. How strong are these pieces of energy? Is one piece of energy weaker than the other? What's the speed of one or the other? And we're not going to get too crazy into it like that. The key thing here is when do these pieces of energy kind of come together and creates a stronger low pressure on the GFS? They come together right here. Therefore, it pops off a stronger low pressure closer to the East Coast. And here's just a closer look at this here. You can see on the Euro, just that strung out energy. It starts to wrap up right here, but it's very positively tilted, meaning it's tilting more to the west. And it wraps up, and it starts to get neutrally tilted. Tilts better. We'll just leave it at that. But it's off the East Coast. GFS, okay, Sunday evening, it's more of a better balled up piece of energy. It's wrapping up better, and you can see this thing is really, you can see some intense energy right here. Just coming together better, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Now, regardless, if we stop it right here, this is another way to look at it, okay? 500 millibar pattern heights. So the bluer colors you see on your screen, that's lower heights. energy in the atmosphere. This also brings down cold air. So this is our storm system signal right here. This big blob of blue with kind of green embedded into it. What this does, regardless of energy or not, okay, is this brings down cold air. All right, it brings down cold with it, drags it down from the higher latitudes. Okay, so regardless if we get a big storm system right in here, this is going to bring a pretty widespread shot of cold air down to the south with it. And if you look at kind of the body of work here, and in this motion, here it comes, and it's diving down. This kind of yanks in cold air. And I know you're probably thinking, well, how is cold air coming down right here when all this is orange and red? Well, remember, this is the pattern of 500 millibars, okay? 18,000 feet up in the air. This is, there's actually cold air coming down right in here. This doesn't tell us temperatures. It can tell us what the temperatures are going to be as far as what the upper pattern is going to bring as far as temperatures, but it's not telling us what the temperatures are at the surface. So just because you see this big blob of orange and red doesn't mean that it's 80 degrees under that orange and red blob, okay? So this is going to bring a pretty stout shot of cold air to round off this coming weekend into early next week. And you can see it here. This is backing up a couple days as this trough positions itself over the eastern U.S. These above average temperatures Friday across the eastern U.S. is replaced with below average temperatures. This is Sunday afternoon. You can see the bluish green colors. This is anywhere from 5 to 15 degrees below average. And this brings a pretty widespread shot now of cold air across the central to the eastern U.S. And this is trended colder. And so, I mean, is this an Arctic outbreak? Absolutely not. I mean, but it is a pretty cold late February shot of air. And I don't know why anybody would think this, but I'm sure some people do, because just hearing conversations out in the soccer fields, at work, just out in public, people just think it's crazy that it can be 75 degrees in February one day in the South, and then it can only be in the 50s for highs the next day. There's nothing crazy about that, guys. I mean, it is crazy in a sense that, man, it's a wild flip, but there's nothing abnormal about that. Nothing at all. That's typical February, March, even early April stuff. In February, we don't just say, all right, it's 75 degrees, it's time for spring. No, you guys know better than that. And it can do that in January. So this shot of cold air, there's nothing abnormal about it, but I mean, you're going to feel it after a several day stretch of warm air that we're dealing with right now. So this is going to bring colder than average temperatures across the middle of the country, eastern sections of the country. It'll moderate across the middle of the country, but it'll stay pretty chilly across the eastern U.S. a good chunk of next week, I think. And then you see a warm up, and then you see some more cold air diving down. That leads me to the pattern coming up. So this is when it gets more fuzzy. Some people might disagree. In fact, the Climate Prediction Center from the National Weather Service, if you look at their graphics, they certainly don't agree. But this is starting off where we left off. There's our big storm system, our trough signal across the eastern U.S. As we move past this, you're going to see just, and this is the Euro ensemble too, not one operational run, the blended ensemble mean. You see this just Chungus trough show up over Canada, the Arctic region, and this is kind of extending down into the lower 48. That is a big cold air source. Now, just because you have this big area of blue doesn't mean there's Arctic cold, but that's cold air that will be able to be in place. So you're seeing this extension of the trough here. And this is getting about a week from today, and the nose of this trough is digging down into the lower 48. What is this going to end up verifying as? Kind of one, maybe two shots of cold air, deep digging troughs. But if you notice about 10 days out, you see kind of this nose of the trough coming down like this. And this is a cross-polar feed. And I mean, there is some cold air up into here. This is nosing down. What is this actually going to verify as? A big sweeping trough digging down into the eastern U.S. with a cold front associated with it, energy associated with it. But that's a very interesting look to me. I know folks in the South see the yellowish orange colors. You're thinking, well, it's just going to be warm down here. Listen, this is not, you don't look at this type of stuff and immediately lock in your head that's exactly what's going to happen. But when you have this big bowled out trough like this over Canada, you just got tons of cold air available. Something is going to something eventually is going to knock this loose. And a prime example of this is exactly what we're going to deal with over the next several days, into the end of this coming weekend, into early next week. If you go back about a week from today, there was small signs that could happen, but for the most part, it looked like a warmer pattern for the foreseeable future. And all of a sudden, we're getting this huge shot of cold air. And the reason is because we got a lot of cold air locked up in Canada still. That's been the theme all winter. So if you look at the operational Euro, okay, and what does it show? There's our storm system signal about, 4 to 6 days from now. There it is, kind of exiting the screen. And then immediately you see, it's like almost immediately. By the time we get into this time next week, there's another trough digging now with some energy associated with it. Big storm system, who knows? We'll figure that out. And then you see a large dipping trough, dip in the jet stream, just nosedive down into the central, eventually into the eastern U.S., all the way down to the southeast. That will bring a pretty harsh shot of cold air to start off March. Okay? So I'm telling you, if you got this just polar air mass up here just spinning around, and then look what happens here. This kind of swings up a blocking mechanism all the way up into Greenland. That's something to watch. And that would favor more shots of cold air being dislodged. So I've said this a couple times. I've been pretty quiet about it. I've said it a little bit on like Southern Weather, some weather forums. I've teased at it on Twitter. I think some odd stuff is going to happen in March. And I think it's just because we have so much cold air bottled up to the north. And it ain't just going to go away just because we're changing dates and calendars and stuff like that. So, if you look at the Euro ensemble here, okay, and we get to that time frame, it looks mainly warm. But if you kind of extend this into the first couple of days of March, you can see some moderation of the temperatures. It's getting a little bit more averaged, a little bit cooler than average. So we're not showing substantial changes of this with the Euro ensemble, but I think we will. And the reason I think we will is because if you look at the Euro ensemble with a broader look, if we continue, and I'm going to put this in motion, if we continue just to have a lot of cold air up here in this region, it isn't going to take much shifting of the atmospheric players on the field to bring this south. And that's just a lot of cold air up here in Alaska. I don't know if you guys remember, it's the same thing that happened in late December and early January. Alaska started to freeze up, you guys remember. And eventually, there was people who were talking. I was talking. Eventually, that cold air has to come south, right? Well, Alaska, once again, is starting to freeze up. Eventually, I think that's going to come south. That has been the common theme all winter, and I don't think it's going to stop just because we're moving in March. So I think some wacky stuff can happen in March, guys. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the severe weather threat for tomorrow. There hasn't been an upgrade. That's good. Just a slight risk, level 2 out of 5 of severe weather. So this is for tomorrow, starting tomorrow morning through Friday morning, and this is Indianapolis, this is Cincinnati, Louisville, Evansville. Really the placement of it hasn't changed at all. And if you look at the chance of a tornado, this brown area, that is a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. The green area, Columbus down to Lexington, Louisville, Paducah, St. Louis up to Bloomington, Lafayette, Indiana. That is a 2% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. And then we got a 15% risk of damaging winds, 55 to 60 miles per hour. And then if you look at the hail threats, we got a 15% risk in this yellow area of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. And if you can just look at the evolution of these storms starting tomorrow morning, not a whole lot going on tomorrow morning. Then some storms are going to fire up probably around the St. Louis area as early as tomorrow morning. And then we get into about midday. You can see those storms crossing through Illinois, a little bit of some storm action in Kentucky. We get into tomorrow afternoon, and those storms look pretty intense along the Indiana-Illinois border, west and east of it. And then as we continue to move forward, I want to watch really tomorrow evening. Some supercells can get going, especially on the southern flank of this main moisture. They can be tapping in some better overlapping ingredients, thermodynamics, your moisture at the surface, kinematics. And we're going to have a lot of wind flow over this entire area, pushing mechanism, kind of an oomph in the atmosphere to really get these storms going. And we'll continue to watch these. And, I have a feeling not everybody will even get rain tomorrow in this area. But, it's starting to get late tomorrow evening, and all this energy begins to move further east. We could have some thunderstorms across Ohio, late tomorrow night. And even some thunderstorms as far south as southern Kentucky, mid-south, middle Tennessee, eastern Tennessee, all the way down to Alabama. I just think you guys will be lacking the better kinmatics down here. So, we'll continue to watch this. If we look at the updraft Felicity swap between now and the next 48 hours, and this is where we can have rotating thunderstorms, your best tornado threat and your best hail threat. And it really likes this corridor, I would say, kind of starting in St. Louis, going through south central Illinois, south central Indiana, into sections of Ohio. So just kind of watch this region right in here for your best tornado threat. We'll get a little bit more detailed on this tomorrow morning. And in fact, I just love when it does that. We might have a video tonight, just depending on how things are. Let's let this upload. This has been doing it the last couple of times. Come on. All right, here we go. There's a lot going on this morning. Look at the weather as a whole. A lot of energy to the north, spinning around. This is a winter storm. We know what you're seeing up here. This is some heavy, heavy snow. Moisture's kind of clashing into some cold air in place, and this is just rounds of like convection. Who knows? Might be even getting a rumble of thunder with this. But let me know what you're seeing in the UP, northern Minnesota, North Dakota, surrounding sections and states. We got some snow flying around in Maine, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. We got some moisture about to move into the northeast, and it continues to be very active out west. Southern tier of the country, kind of south of all the main energy. Watches, warnings, advisories. A lot of red flag warnings out here. I mean, we got big time fire danger. We had a lot of fires breaking out yesterday. They're probably still ongoing right now, but red flag warnings are up in this hot pink color. The fire danger is serious, guys, so take it serious. And I mean, it's going to get more serious across the Midwest today too, Iowa, surrounding states. We do have winter weather advisories for an area of accumulating snow across New York State, for Vermont, Massachusetts. There's a lot going on, mouthful. Northern sections of the country, winter storm warnings, blizzard warnings in this shade of red right here. We even got winter storm watches in Nebraska for some accumulating snow on the way, and then just a lot of alerts out west. Conditions for the southeast today, it'll be kind of a cloudy but warm day. We're going to get some sprinkles, light rain here and there. I wouldn't be surprised. Some showers could bubble up across the mid-south. It's not going to be a big storyline at all, maybe even a rumble of thunder. But we could get some thunderstorms late tonight across Tennessee, eastern Tennessee, starting off for your Thursday morning, which will kickstart an active severe weather day. But overall today, not a huge deal of anything. Northeast, a little bit more active. Kind of an area of moisture. We'll run into some cold air, and by the time we get into this afternoon, we got some heavy moisture down here to the south, but it'll be too warm, probably in Buffalo. Hit a little bit of colder air and higher terrain here in New York, and we could have a band of accumulating wet snow across New York, southern New England. Could even get some snow in Boston. And then maybe some more action kind of moves in late tonight. Probably going to wake up to some heavier bursts of snow across New England. But it's just going to be very active up here. We'll have another system flying in the next 48 hours or so also. The snowfall between now and about 1 a.m. Friday, kind of just a narrow corridor of 1 to as much as 4 inches of snow across this region. Albany, maybe 2.5 inches of snow. Tokyo Plateau, a few inches of snow. And we take a look at southern New England here. And, Springfield, 2 inches. Worcester, 3 to 4 inches. Boston, 2-3 inches of snow is possible. And if I left anybody hanging in the rest of New England, here we go. Rutland, about 1 inch. Manchester, 1.5 inches. Not much up here in Maine, though, outside of what you're seeing right now. South central U.S., you're south of all the action. Just nothing going on. You're going to get some snow bands that whip through New Mexico, Colorado, but not a huge storyline, at least right now. Low pressure developing. It's dry, though. You see this 992 Thursday morning, tomorrow morning, whipping across the country. This is what's kickstarting all the dry, relative humidity very low, strong winds across this region, and this is what's going to cause that fire risk. But the north central U.S., you got this low pressure ongoing right now. This will continue. The worst of the storm's ongoing right now, but some heavy snow will continue to whip through the UP. Even areas of northern lower Michigan, and some backside moisture will whip through probably Minneapolis. And this low pressure starts to kind of move and more zonal, if you will. But this is getting into this afternoon, some snow flying around across the upper Midwest. Some of the snow could actually switch to some freezing rain across the UP. and then maybe some more cold air wraps in place. It's kind of a weird moving around low pressure that sort of gets trapped. It's definitely just a weird pattern in place. A lot of high pressure around, but snowfall between now and the next 48 hours. Some of this has already fell, but this is North Dakota. I do want to show you max wind gusts across this area. Very windy conditions, guys. So let's just slow it down in this area. Very strong winds. And then we knock this down into South Dakota. This is predicted wind gust across South Dakota between now and the next 48 hours. This is snowfall. Okay, this is the system ongoing right now up here. This is the system on the way, Rapid City. 3 inches of snow on the way. And then we knock it down. Let's check out Nebraska. Okay, snowfall between now and the next 48 hours. I wasn't able to really show you an actual radar simulation of this area, but several inches of snow, especially once you get north of this corridor right here, North Platte, Kearney, Grand Island, a corridor of 1 to 3 inches of snow. But you get right here in north central Nebraska, this pink area, that's where we can get over a half a foot of snow. So winter storm watches are up for this area. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some blizzard warnings up. But winds between now and the next 24 hours or so, gusty winds. And then we move up here into Minnesota. Very strong winds will continue up here in the northern section of the country. Another low pressure is going to move up to the north, and this is going to provide some gusty winds. Moving up from the south to the north through southern areas of Minnesota. Snowfall between now and the next 48 hours. Snow will continue to add up. Man, they've really increased the snowfall totals up here in northeast Minnesota. Sheesh. I mean, some areas might get over 2 feet before it's all said and done. 9 inches. So, man, it's just very active up here. And then we move into Iowa. Snowfall between now and the next 48 hours. A few inches of snow in the western sections of the state. But the winds will be howling over the next 24 hours, 36 hours or so. 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts. I'm trying to cover everybody because there's a lot going on here. Wisconsin, winds, this is what you're looking at. Okay. Snowfall, not as much. Northern areas of the country, Wisconsin, definitely could get some ice, could get a little bit of freezing rain in the northern sections of Wisconsin. And then we'll kind of round it off here. This is the ice forecast, freezing rain for the UP of Michigan. And this will probably come in a little bit later today, but additional snowfall totals, several inches on the way. And this might be combining a little bit of the next system too. And some gusty winds are possible too, guys. I mean, 30, 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts. So, oof, man, it's a mouthful. There's a lot to talk about. Western U.S., energy will continue to fly through. Heavy snow across the central Rockies. Sorry, I can't get as detailed for you guys out here. And then another system flies in later tomorrow. And it just continues to be very, very active. Temperatures, what you're looking at, pretty warm day across the east. It's definitely a warmer system, but still cold enough for winter weather in the upper portions of the country. But I mean, we're going to get into the 70s and 60s all the way into the Midwest. Very nice weather for everybody. We're even getting into the 70s as far north as Virginia, areas in the mid-Atlantic. And it's definitely starting to get colder out west finally. So, all right, that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. Mouthful, a lot to go over. Appreciate y'all tuning in. God bless all y'all, and we'll do it again in the next video. Have a good day.